Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Indie Synergy Exchange, your podcast for all things indie art and creation. We are the podcast that introduces you to all sorts of new indie things. I'm your host, Tanner Giese, also known as Number 2 Pencil Man and owner of Tanner's Tales Entertainment. And joining me tonight, I have my two lovely co-hosts. I have my wife, Katie Giese. She is an author and poet. And my friend, Frae Official. Back again, my artist and also multi-creative friend. And tonight we have a guest. His name is Dan Price, and he is the writer of the comic Bigfoot Knows Karate. Let me just get a little soundboard thing up. I don't actually have it up as much as I wanted to. There we go. Cheer! Everybody for Dan! Such a delayed cheer from our audience, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I'll take it where I can get it. So thanks so much for having me on tonight, y'all. I really do appreciate it.
We're super excited to have you and to hear more about your works. But before we do that, I just wanted to say to everybody out there watching the podcast, thank you guys so much for your support. This is up to episode 17 now. So we've had 16 episodes before this, pretty much all with a different indie creator for each one, where we just give them the spotlight. We've had clowns, doctors of psychology, we've had other comic book creators, we've had musicians, poets, pretty much any type of indie creative thing that you can think of, we've had on the show, and we're going to continue to grow and build a platform for all indie creators to have a spotlight. So if you are enjoying the show and you like what we do, please consider giving us a subscribe, a thumbs up, and interacting with our posts. Consider doing that to help us grow this so that we can reach more people and give more indie creators an even bigger audience to be shown off to. That is mainly our goal with this whole podcast, so any support helps at all. So thank you guys again for all the support you've shown, and let's continue to grow Indie Synergy Exchange into the #1 indie podcast. And without further ado, we're going to turn it over to our guest, Dan. Dan, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you create.
Sure. My name is Dan Price. I am a indie comic creator, writer, artist. Currently, well, I'll kind of go back a little bit. I got started in indie comics back in 2007 with my very first indie book, Latex Avenger. Latex Avenger was the tale of he had a sidekick named Spermicidal Foam Lad, and together they repelled crime 99.9% of the time. So it was kind of like Family Guy on steroids turned up to 11. Very ridiculous sense of humor I got over here, and so that comes through in my comics for sure. And so I worked on that for a while. I mean, they had characters like Manibus, the kaiju pot monster. You know, there was who else? I mean, there was Kosher the pig. He was awesome. He was kind of like the brains of the outfit. And you know, my grandparents were characters in the comic. I mean, it just like you name it, everybody was in there, kind of doing their thing. That was that. You know, I did a few issues of that. Well, several issues of that, and then that kind of caught the eye of a small publisher. They said, "We like that." But here's what you need to do. You need to take that reservoir tip of freedom off the top of his head. You need to remove the logo off his chest, and we'll go from there. I'm like, I'm not doing that. But I do have this other idea. It was called Masters of the Obvious. Okay, and it was a sci-fi space parody. It was like you had characters like Dr. Biclops. He had 2 eyes, and the Visible Woman, you can't miss her. And they had and so they flew around in a battle toaster called the USS Screensaver, having pop culture adventures throughout the galaxy. So I did that for them. I did that. It was a web comic, got collected into a trade. And then from there, I did this. I never tried to do a youth project before, and so I got got kind of roped into this thing for the Stan Lee Foundation and POW Entertainment, where we did a thing called Excelsius, the uphill adventures of a boy named Stan Lee. And it supposed Stan Lee as a small kid in a neighborhood being bullied by the neighborhood bullies. So,
Mm.
and so we had to come up with like, fun, cute ways to, beat the bully and, that kind of thing. So a lot of Marvel references and, puns and things like that. It was fun. It was the experience. Yeah, it was an experience that I needed to try out, and I enjoyed it. But after that, I was kind of burned out from comics for a while, and I just gotten married, and I was raising my stepkids, and
Mm.
so I took some time away. Well, during the lockdowns, my wife said to me, "Hey, why don't you do another comic?" So it was time to not go back to the well. It was time to do something completely different. And so I'd been noodling around with the Bigfoot nose karate concept for a while. Originally, it was supposed to live in that Latex Avenger Masters of the Obvious universe.
Hmm.
But it didn't work. It wasn't funny. It just wasn't funny. I mean, when something's not funny, you don't try and beat that dead horse. Just move on, man. Let it, leave the wounded behind, and that's what I did. And but came back to the comic and or the concept in 2017 and started drawing it, and this Bigfoot with like these gaunt eyes and this warrior expression, and it was like, if you were the only one of your kind and the only one of your species, and nobody cared and nobody knew who you were and nobody gave a darn,
Mm.
darn. Anyway, whatever. I'm not going to cuss. I'm going to be good tonight. Anyway, so the if nobody cared, what would that do to your soul and your psyche, right? What would that do to you as a being? By the way, you're like 10 foot tall and martial arts, and so that's what kind of was the impetus of Bigfoot Knows Karate, and what it turned into from being this goofy, this goofy comic into this, like this widescreen cinematic, bigger
Mm.
concept than anything I'd ever done before. And so, because I'm usually, used to doing like, just stupid jokes. And this was like this bigger concept. And so I had my co-writer, Casey Allen. He's a great guy out of Alabama. We met one time, but we've known each other 5 years, and we've been working together for a long time now. And he's a good dude. Just a good dude. I mean, you ever just meet somebody and you just know this is a really a genuine person. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Understood. 100%. No,
that's my
I mean,
best friend
I'm
up there.
there you go. There you go. So it's one of those things. It's like we just hit it off. Originally, he was going to we met through this thing called, look at that. So we met through this thing called the Comic Jam, which is a it's like a workshop, an online comics workshop where basically the writers vote on a theme for the week. Okay. And they vote on what the theme for the comic's going to be. And then, based on what the theme that wins, the writers have 1 week to write up no more than 6 panel comic. Okay.
Mm.
And then that gets randomly distributed to the artists. The artists have 1 month, which everybody should be able to finish a page in a month. I don't care how detailed you are. Come on now, that's small. That's small potatoes. But they have like a month to be able to come up with the artwork to go along with that 6 panel story. It's a great workshop it's a good concept or a good idea for storytelling, training for storytelling in the medium and that sort of thing. And after I hadn't been in comics for a long time, I went to the Comic Jam and kind of dipped my toes back in the water over there. And that's where Casey and I met. And so so I had written all this crap about Bigfoot Knows Karate, and he goes, "Well, let me see what you got." And I just dropped this Bible of information on him, because the thing was, it could not be the trite martial arts, kung fu movie plot line that we've seen that is so rooted in revenge all the time. Couldn't
Mm.
be that. If you got nothing and no one, there's nothing to get revenge for. So it's not like it's taken. You know what I mean? Like I have a very special set of skills. No, that's not the story we're telling here. And so it was so it had to be different. It had to be unique, and it took a while to get what the story was going to be, worked out. Because I started playing with the story in 2018 and didn't really know what it was until like 2020. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just and that whole time, I'm just drawing the character on Instagram, and Casey's saying to me, "You better do something with this. You better do something with this because this is something." And people were starting to get into it, and so we devised this story, and he came in as a co-writer because he was coming up with so many great ideas. He named the first big bad in the story, which was a Cthulhu based character named Kung
Yes.
Fu Thulu.
I
Yeah,
love that. Hmm.
yeah, Kung Fu Thulu is cool, man, because he's like Max Cady from Cape Fear meets Macho Man Randy Savage, but he's Cthulhu. So how bad can it be? And so, he came up with like the big bad in the first book, and like the first 8 pages of the first issue is truly like a proof of concept from me to Casey saying, this is what I want it to look like. This is what I want it to be. And him going, okay. And kind of expanding from the story from there. So once all the fire starts showing up, that's where my boy Casey jumps in. You know what I mean? And we've had such a great time working on the comic because there's a lot you can do with a character. You didn't think there was that much you could do with a Bigfoot,
Yeah.
as a character, just kind of running through the woods going, but we realized that there was a whole lot more we could do with this. There's the cryptid side of the whole thing, and then there's the martial arts of the whole thing. And then the whole idea that the story can be bigger than just that. It's not Kung Fu Panda. You know what I mean? Like there's a bigger narrative going on here. There's a bigger plot line going on. I've actually never seen Kung Fu Panda, so I could be
What?
wrong. Just because, no, I have never seen.
You've never seen Kung Fu Panda?
I'm old,
What?
man. I'm old. I didn't have children at the
I've
time
never
when that
seen
was a
Kung Fu
thing.
Panda.
So yeah,
I saw it
no,
in
never seen it.
theaters, man.
Yeah, and well, I'm like 48, dude. So just to give that away. So yeah, well, I didn't have any kids around that time. There's just no way I would, no.
It's a
I
good
saw
movie.
like, I'm sure it's great. I'm not knocking Kung Fu Panda.
I
I'm
know.
just saying it could be this whole Godfather-esque film that I don't even realize it to be. I have a feeling it's not. I guess is my point.
No, it's
So
family friendly.
no, anyway, so I don't know where I was going with the Kung Fu Panda thing anyway. So but
Man.
but there's just a lot going on in the story. We liken the book to Godzilla versus Kong meets Kill Bill with a twist. Okay, and Casey says a twist of X-Files. I'll sometimes say a twist of Lost, but it's that kind of story. Once you get into it, you start to realize things are not what they seem. When we originally did the book on Kickstarter for the first issue, we sold it like, Godzilla vs. Kong, Kill Bill with a twist, Bigfoot versus Kung Fu Thulu, Ultimate Monster Showdown. And that's all we said. Really to sell the book because we didn't want to say anything about the last act of the book at all. And so it worked out, it got people's attention, and we've been able to, we found an amazing following on Instagram, and it's been great. I'm really grateful for all of that. People have really just kind of jumped on with us and stayed with us. We've had some really loyal backers and just great followers on Instagram. I don't know. It's the whole thing's kind of it's kind of the dream,
Man, well, that was a great way to start us off by telling us.
Dude, that was a mouthful, dude. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I do apologize.
Hey, the spotlight's on you, man. So you've had quite a career in comics, and it sounds like from this. You started with super funny stuff though, and that's what gets me because I read you sent us the copies of Bigfoot Knows Karate, and from what you told us, like your first works, seeing how the storyline in that is so totally different than what you first described, and it is a very unique storyline. I can attest to it. When I first saw the cover of it, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like a fun kung fu Bigfoot, and then I get into reading it, and I'm like, oh, there's way more to this than I thought.
Oh yeah.
And it is like a great, like in-depth thing. It's like you got the government thing that we don't really know much about, and it's like, what's that? Bigfoot's being what? Oh, spoiler alert to anybody out there. Sorry, but it's like
Sorry, gang.
what a plot twist that is. It's like, oh,
Right.
monster fight, and then there's voices, and it's like what, and then it takes this whole turn, and it's like, well, this is a more intricate, in-depth story than I was expecting for Bigfoot knows karate, and I think it's a genius move. Honestly, it keeps people on their
Thank you.
toes, and you don't know what's coming next. It's like I thought it was just gonna be a big monster fight, and then bam, bigger universe just opens up like that, and it's like, okay, well now I want to know more about this person and what this thing is, and it's like so many unanswered questions, which is a
Sure.
good story thing. I think a very good element to storytelling.
Well,
Um,
what's nice, thank you. I mean, what's nice with this next issue that we currently are promoting on Kickstarter is we spent the first couple of issues just dropping questions on you, a lot of question bombs, just a lot of that.
building
And
us
so
up.
this, yeah, oh, yeah. So this issue, we actually get to answer some of those beauties. So really excited about that, because I feel like y'all earned it. You know what I mean? As readers, it's like you can only do that for so long to
Yeah,
people, and it's like, okay, but like, oh wow, what's gonna happen next? Y'all better pay off on some of this at some point. You know what I mean? It's like that's how it is, and so it's nice to be able to actually pay off some of these questions. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. We're going to make you ask a few more by the end of it, but it's nice to be able to start paying some of this off.
it's hey, good storytelling. It makes you ask lots of questions, and it's such a cool thing when you have readers that are reading it and they're so into it that they're coming
Right,
up to you and being like, "I read your thing, and this part had me thinking like this." It's like, where are you going with this? Like, I was just at a con this week, and some
right.
person bought my comic on Friday, the first day of the con, and came back to me Saturday and was like, "So I read your comic yesterday. I loved it. I have so many questions on it." He started like listing off these questions
Oh
like,
yeah,
what happens to the guy that Pencil Man encountered? Like, are we ever going to find out? I'm like, I can't really tell you. It's like, it's going to be
right.
a surprise. But it's really cool. Like, when you're able to pull off a hook like that, and it's like, people just want to know more. I think it speaks volume about your storytelling ability as one thing, and it helps keep people invested in the series as it continues to progress. And that's important, especially to like as indie creators. If we don't keep them interested, then when we drop our next book in like a year or a
Oh,
couple months,
absolutely.
they might just not even bother. But if you keep them hooked on it and keep them in suspense, I feel like that's a good driving force into getting that support, and I think that's a really strong thing. So kudos to that, because that is definitely not an easy feat to like pull off entirely like that.
It's a beating. I mean, let's be honest. Like it is. I mean, like to keep your audience and to keep people engaged and all that. It's not easy. You have to constantly be pushing, constantly
Hmm.
be posting, constantly doing all that, and But from the storyline perspective, I'm just glad that people are into it. I mean, it was before the first book even came out, we started receiving fan art, and it was
Really?
like, yeah, and it was by the time the first Kickstarter showed up, we had received over 50 pieces of fan art, and I was
Wow.
about to lose my mind at that point because first it was like it was awesome, like, oh my god, somebody drew this, and then about around 15 or 20, I started having anxiety attacks. What if nobody likes the book? What if it's no good? They took the time to draw this, and then what if they don't like it? Oh my god! I was like a Woody Allen movie. I mean, it was just like ridiculous with the stupid anxiety. And my wife has to like talk me off the ledge, and thank you for that, baby. She's downstairs, but
No.
had to talk me off the ledge, and and just said, look, people are into this. Just roll with it. The book's going to be good, and so we're like, we pressed the button on the Kickstarter, held my breath, and just prayed for rain. You know what I mean? Like that's all I could do, and it's worked out. At this point now, we've received over 250 pieces of fan art for the comic, and it's
Wow.
like it's amazing. So we
That's
do these.
incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than we do. I mean, again, somebody takes the time to draw something
Ooh.
that they never knew, that they never saw before, and they were attracted to it, and it's not like this is Deadpool.
Hmm.
There's no market saturation where it's like it's on bed sheets and stuff like that. You know what I mean? This is like this character, like this rando character, and they took the time out of their lives, out of their schedules. I mean, these are people who just read comics, people who draw comics, to stop what they're doing to do this. Damn, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't care if it's, I mean, it's so beauty is in the eye of the beholder anyway, but I don't care if it's like, pro or amateur or, black and white or color, what look you took for it, cartoony, noir, whatever. I don't care. Like, the fact that you did it just blows me away, number one, and I love to see everybody else's takes on the character. Sometimes it's more monstrous, sometimes it's more humanoid, sometimes it's more, soft and caring, and sometimes it looks like it's about to rip your head off. I mean, it's incredible to me how people have interpreted this character, and that it's hit people in some way, And I mean, as you've learned in reading, his name's Benny, so I'll just refer to the Bigfoot as Benny. I mean, Benny's got a lot going on, and I think that people are picking up on that. And he's not a static character. There's a lot of different facets to him, and I think as the more issues we do, the more we're going to learn about the guy, and I think that people are really going to get into him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's
and there's a chupacabra with a shotgun in there that just rocks ass. So yeah, so love him. So he's getting a lot more pages in issue 3. So get ready for that.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great.
Katie actually had a question.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, Katie.
No. It's just came to me just recently. You're fine. No, I'm trying to talk more on the podcast episodes. So, it's a really simple question. Just can you share more about why you think there has been so much of a pull towards the character? Like, I mean, just why are people so attracted to the character? I'd love to hear more on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the title has a lot to do with that at first. The title of the book, Bigfoot Knows Karate. I've had people say to me right from the get-go, a very dear friend of mine who I met over Instagram, and then we've worked together on some stuff. He said to me, he's like, I use your book title as what's known as like the perfect elevator pitch. It tells you everything you need to know before you even get going. And, and I took a while coming up with the title of the book. That was not, I mean, originally, like I said, it was supposed to be a comedy, so it does make you chuckle when you first hear it, but it was too good to not keep when the book moved to an action adventure psychological thriller thing. So I think the title is the first thing that it was the big grabber. It's a hook. I mean, it's a hook. And like I've spent the last 25 years of my life working in marketing and advertising and graphic design. There was a lot of times put into making sure that title was what it was supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, so number one, number two, not just the title, but the concept. It's a Bigfoot that does karate. So visually, it was interesting to people before there were ever words that ever came out of his mouth. And even in the first issue, he's completely mute. He's mute for the first 2 issues, actually. I think he says his name right at the end of the second issue. That's it. So everything about the character is through actions and through through his actions and through his personality, comes out through his face or his narrations, because he is a very introspective, philosophical character. Again, that whole concept of the only one of your kind, completely isolated from the world. He's very high level thinking. And what we learn, Katie, through the book is that he's lived a very long time. Okay, and we're starting to explore more of that as we go through. I haven't said that so much in the first couple of issues, but Hinnagon lays into that very hard, where the book takes place in feudal Japan, and it's still the same guy that we've been dealing with in the regular issues. So because the story is very layered, I think that is, once you got past the title, the visual, people gravitated to my art a little bit, which was nice. You know what I mean? They were like, okay, and which is nice because, like, I for a long time I just wrote. I was not drawing for a lot of years, so to get into drawing comics again and getting into that, people kind of gravitated to the artwork. They liked the style, the look, the looseness, the grungy lines and brushy lines and that sort of thing. So I think it was kind of like, initially it was just kind of like a trifecta of those items, of those things there. And then once once they got to read the book and they got to really know who Benny was, or starting to find out who Benny was, that only helped it out. And look, I mean, there's Bigfoot's a pretty cool concept to play with in the first place. There are some great Bigfoot books out there. I mean, I would recommend The Savage Sasquatch by Wes Hartman. It takes Bigfoot in space. I mean, there's cool. some really cool ones out there. But I think the martial arts bent on this big old cryptid kind of, brought people in, I guess is the best way to put it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
A good deal, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty thoroughly. Frae, did you have any questions? I want to jump in with you, Frae, because I know you're also quiet sometimes.
What made you do the tonal change from comedy, lighthearted comedy, to more of action adventure?
That's a great question. I had only written comedy for a long time. I mean, Latex Avenger, Masters of the Obvious, the other stuff. I was rooted in comedy for a long time. And when I took the break away from comics, it was like, well, in coming back, I've always been really big into doing something very different from the last thing I did. But in comics, I got stuck in a rut that I was doing comedy, because that's what I was just kind of making my bones with. So when I came back, it was like, well, I just want to do something so different from anything else I'd ever tried. It's kind of like more on a dare than anything else. You know what I mean? Like, can I? I think that was the biggest thing, is can I? And, they always say, write what you know, write what you know, write what you know. You hear that from writing professors, or, writing books or whatever. And there's a good truth to that. I mean, your subject matter and you can really dig in that way. But when I've been writing for a long, long time, I mean, whether it's comics or short stories or for magazines or whatever, I've been writing for a while now. For this, it just seemed like a great idea to write what I didn't know, and do the research, when the research was necessary, and take liberties when you can take some liberties. And, I mean, we play with a lot of, going from the comedy of it all to now playing with all those different creatures of lore and, and mythologies, where you're playing with stuff that's, I mean, what is it? In Hinagon, we're dealing with, Japanese legends like the Mizuchi water dragon and stuff like that. But, whereas in issue 2, they're dealing with a minotaur named Asterion that's like a minotaur from a star. I mean, it's like, why did I do this? Or, I mean, it just made it that much more interesting to do. I mean, it's like, comedy's fun, and I love writing a joke, man. Like, there's nothing more fun to me than sitting down. I can just write in the dialogue and then come back and fill it in later. But if you let me just sit down and write a Latex Avenger book, let's go. Let's go right now. Like, I'm ready. I can do it. The problem is I've grown up. You know what I mean? And writing comedy is still fun to do, but I am not the person who wrote those books, those many years ago, the Latex Avenger stuff. I'm going to be 50 in a year, I mean, that's like, so to write that type of thing is not as interesting to me as, writing something that's a more mature in a different way. That is more philosophically, or more, philosophy rooted, and is more, that has more, different, just different tones and different ideas and that sort of thing. The different mythologies that we get to play with, the different cryptids we get to play with. There's so much going on with the storyline. It's exciting to do that. It's not the one issue dick and fart joke comics. You know what I mean? Sorry for a lack of a better term. And that's a very rude way to put that. I do apologize. Sorry. But it is, it's wide format. You know what I mean? It's the big storyline, 5-issue storyline. God, that sounded cool to at least try it. How, it was the worst thing that could happen. It didn't fund on Kickstarter and we just kept on going about our lives. Unfortunately, it funded, so now we have to keep making the damn thing. I'm kidding. That's just a joke. No, we've been fortunate, man. We've been fortunate through this whole thing. It's like a charmed situation that just people have been into it. I mean, it's been, the Kickstarters have done well. It does well at conventions. I mean, we can talk more about that later. And now I'm just rambling. So sorry, Frae. I'm going to cut it off right there.
No, it's fine.
There we go.
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I like how you give very detailed answers. That's very good.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I got on. I was a little quiet before we started. Y'all were like, I'm probably worried. I guess this guy's not going to say anything. But once you get me started, I'll just keep going. So
see, that's what we like. We want the creators to come on here and share their passion, because when you go into those thorough answers, it's really showing how passionate you are about your projects. So that shows us that you really care about what you do.
Oh, I love this. I love making comics. I mean, I love the medium. I used to say that I was a hardcore reader of comics. You know what I mean? Like where it was like, I loved, reading Marvel, DC, all of that stuff. Now, to me, more than anything, I love making comics. I love reading independent comics that other creators make. I love seeing what's new out there. I'm always excited to see a creator break past the usual and go into the unusual. I mean, that's exciting to me. So the medium of making comics and doing something unique and not just a derivative of something else, God, that's so cool. Isn't it? I mean, isn't it so cool to see somebody, it doesn't have to be me. It can be anybody, look, a rising tide. What is it? Is it the rising tide raises all ships or whatever? I mean, we're all in this together. It's indie comics, man. I mean, if you're going to sit there and think of everybody as a competitor, then you're really going to have a hard time getting involved in the community, because the community's there for you. It really is, whether it's the other creators or publishers or printers or just your fans, your fans and your friends, I mean, that it's all amazing. And that keeps you moving. I'm so grateful for all the friends I made in this community. I mean, like, the pandemic was terrible. Okay. The pandemic was terrible. That we lost some great folks, and there was some, and I won't even get into all that. But what I'm going to say is it's really weird that during that time period that this amazing project got started, from how much it shaped and changed my life for the better, being a part of this project and doing Bigfoot Knows Karate. It's made me, I'm a happier person for this book. I enjoy my job and my regular day job more because of this book, because I mean, it's just so many different things changed because of this comic. And I made friends during the pandemic when everybody's in a lockdown. I met all these friends over Instagram, getting to know people on live draws and live streams and just talking with each other, and we making phone calls, and and then we meet each other at conventions, and it's like, whether it's Heroes Con or Baltimore, Brooklyn, or wherever the world's taken me over the last couple of years with it, travel came back. It's been incredible, and really, just really grateful for this entire experience, man.
Before?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to be there this year, but I did the last 3 years prior.
I want to say I went. Frae, you and I were there in the last 3 years. Because 2022 is when Pencil Man started on YouTube, and I came and I got your book at that place. We would have probably seen you
Yeah, it was like 2023.
Yeah, 22, 20. I did 22, 23, and 24. So
we were there one of those years.
Are you
okay.
sure it might have been 22 because I didn't go 23 or
It
24.
was October 2022.
Was that when you
Yeah,
got
the
it?
October.
Yep.
Yeah, October 2022, and then they moved it back to September the last 2 years after that. But October
Yeah.
2022, yes.
And that was before I even started the comic book, so
Oh,
I probably
okay.
would not. Something now after you say that you were there sounds familiar, and I may have seen you, and I may have saw your comic, but I can't remember.
All good, man. I was. It was nice to meet you. Possibly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was. Yeah, that was a great show. I mean, that was a great show for me. Like, yeah, monetarily it was great, but meeting all those people, you know, meeting all these friends that I had made at the, you know, there was like 6 of us who all like lined up. Our had tables all together so we could all hang out through the day, and then there was more, and we'd all went out to dinner and had drinks, and just all of that stuff, and it was just so much fun. And then, yeah, I mean, it was going to Baltimore. I think that was my first like out of state trip, like convention that I ever did. I think.
Oh wow.
And it was like that convention was the first one, and I remember like packing up my bags and going, okay, we're doing this, you know. And now it's second nature to go out of state. But it was a lot of fun. That was a great convention. I have great memories of that show, and I really wish they never moved it out of October. Honestly, what's up?
Is this a good lead-in to talk about conventions? Because you did say you were going to talk about that more.
Oh,
Like
sure, we can
selling at
totally talk
conventions.
about conventions.
You have a
I
question?
love conventions.
No,
Yeah.
that was just the.
Yeah, we can totally talk about conventions. Conventions are great. You know, I remember doing my first one in like 2010, and it was 2007. Here's my very first convention story. So I did the first book of Latex Avenger, and I was moving from Dallas to Austin, and I had and I signed up for this convention, this small little independent comic showcase type thing, and it was called Staple. And Staple's now done 17 years of shows or something like that are amazing.
Wow.
So they've done. So I finished the book, sent it to the printer, got it, and I had it mailed to the new apartment. Well, it ships on like March 1st and arrives on March 1st. I don't arrive till March 2nd, so all I can do is hope that nobody steals my comics or it doesn't rain. So I can go to my very first convention on March 3rd. So I literally drop all my stuff off in my apartment, grab my books, and run. Okay, and like go to this convention. Well, the girl I was seeing at the time, she comes with me to the convention, and she says, "Hey, do you? So what do you have?" I mean, what do you mean? What do I have? I've never been to a convention like this before. I've never, or like at least been on this side of the table. Didn't know what an independent creator brought to a table. You know, so I said, "Well, I have these 100 comics." You know, and she's like, and I said, well, that's all I got. And she goes, you don't have a tablecloth? No. You don't have business cards? No. You don't have this? No. You don't have that? No. She goes, okay, I'll be back. So she ran off. Okay. And remember, it's Latex Avenger. He wears a condom on his head. Okay. So just keep that in consideration for when she comes back, because when she comes back, she has a giant bowl of Hershey Kisses and 48 Trojan condoms and throws them out all over the table and goes, okay, you're going to give these away when you sell one. Okay. And I did, and it worked. And it worked. Do I have one? No, I don't have one. I have branded ones later, though. I went and started getting 500 of them at a time and getting stickers made that had my website on them, and it had the Sperm Lightning logo on it. Here, this is what
my goodness!
Avenger looked like. So if you look at the logo closely, it had that logo on his chest, or on the condom. So anyway, I'd give those away at conventions. And I got to be honest with you, it seems ridiculous. It really does. I mean, it does. I know this.
It's fantastic.
Great. It worked. People were mesmerized at the concept that somebody would do that at a convention. And obviously it wasn't for the youth, you know.
Yeah.
And you would make sure that parents, when they would start to bring their kids to your table, you go, not for y'all. You know, you'd have to kind of shoo them away. And, you know, and that's what you do because you're a responsible person and all of that. However, not that responsible because I still gave out. Well, I know, but hey, they're condoms. They're very responsible. So anyway, but so gimmicks, it started becoming a thing. What's the gimmick? What's the thing you're going to give away at a convention that's going to grab people's attention? Hooks,
Genius.
hooks. There was a period where I couldn't afford to color the books. So we did black and white comics. So what do? I ordered a bunch of 4-packs of crayons from a website and gave out 4-packs of crayons with each book that I sold. And people went nuts over that. They were like, that's hilarious. I mean, and they just thought that was funny. So we, whatever you got to do to grab people's attention. So I love conventions, but like early on, it used to be that conventions were the only way to really get your stuff out there. When I first was in comics, like as I was out the door, Kickstarter had just started coming up. And so now when I come back to comics in like 2021, it's all Kickstarter, man, and that changed the whole ball game because you could get so many books out to so many people across the world. I mean, give me a break. That's awesome. But what's cool about Kickstarter in conjunction with conventions is you do your Kickstarters, you've done a couple of those, you go to a convention, somebody comes up to you and goes, dude, I backed your book, man. Y'all got to check this out. I mean, like that kind of thing. That's like when you meet somebody who's backed your book, is into what you're doing. That's amazing, or like, I bought this, I need to go all the rest of the issues, and, and that kind of thing. I mean, I've literally had somebody say, I came here for you. I'm like, no, you didn't. Because like, nobody comes here for me. You know what I mean? Like this is, that's the rule I live by as a indie comic creator. Nobody came here to see you. It is your job to make sure you are remembered when they leave. That's the mantra I kind of take when I'm at a convention. They didn't come here for you, but they're going to remember you when they're done. They're going to remember your book. They're going to, because I mean, like everybody came to go get the Stranger Things cast, signatures. That's what they came for, and so it's, you got to work, you got to hustle, I mean, like all of it's a hustle, you got to, I mean, you're from the making the comic to the, marketing the comic, which is the part that everybody forgets about, at first. And they're like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I was trying to be good tonight. But
it's all right.
All right, cool. Shit. Hell yeah. No, anyway, so,
just go for it.
So, all right. So anyway, I was trying, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with all that, but I'm just saying, like, conventions are incredible. I'll get back to conventions because I know where I was going with that. So now it's like, I mean, I love doing them because you really get, as an independent creator, you're basically doing like one-to-one sales. If you think about it, outside of Kickstarter, you're doing one-to-one sales. It's you can maybe get your stores and your comics in stores through consignment, or maybe they'll buy them in mass. But conventions, you're meeting every single person who buys your book, and it's funny because I'm happy to sign a comic. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't bother me in the least, nor will I ever charge for that. That's ridiculous, but I wonder how many more books there are out there that are signed that aren't signed. You know what I mean? Because how many books I've sold at conventions. I mean, I've sold over 3,000 copies of Bigfoot Knows Karate at this point. Wow. You know what I mean? And so it's like, and how much of that is like, via Kickstarter, online sales, conventions, stores, it's all, and now it's, it's even crazier because, I'm going to segue into something else. So like, and just a couple of months ago, I joined up with a couple of other people, Chris Saloff, Drew Lenhart, and Dennis Valencia, and we started up Homebrewed Comics. So now we're, now it's like all this stuff that I've been doing by myself or with Casey. Oh, hey, I know those guys. By myself or with Casey, now we've started this company, Homebrewed Comics, which is a team, of creators. You have Chris Saloff with Crit up there on the top left, and that he's doing his 8th book of Crit that's in campaign right now. He's got about a week left on that. And then my campaign for Bigfoot Knows Karate Chapter 3, that is currently live. And then our Celestial Knight versus Caspian Porter by Drew Lenhart and Dennis Valencia. That one shot goes up in June 21st. Thank you for pulling that up because I didn't have to remember dates on my own. So, what's cool about this stuff is that everybody has an expertise. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody knows their role coming in the door, and we're able to work with each other in a cohesive environment, that allows everybody to like work their gig, stay in their lane, but then we come together to solve the bigger problems and, work as a team, and we're partners. And so, starting up a publishing label was not what I ever thought I'd be doing when I started doing indie comics, but it's incredible because we can make our own futures. We're not dependent on a publisher to say, yes, we'll take this. No, we won't change this, change that. No, we decided, we're all very, competent creators. Is that a good word for it? I guess, everybody's making a quality comic, but we all have business minds. The four of us, where everybody has some sort of expertise. Like I said, I've spent 25 years in marketing, advertising, graphic design. So I work on the marketing side of the business. Drew handles the online stuff, the websites, the newsletters, the online distribution. Chris handles the physical distribution, convention stuff, things like that, just, a lot of the wheeling and dealing, and we're going to be starting up our Whatnot store here very soon with Dennis leading up that. So everybody's got, and we're doing a lot of, we have a YouTube channel that we're just starting up, and having more fun with that outside of just the lives that we do on Instagram, which are a lot of fun. But everybody's got their expertise, and everybody knows what it is they're doing. And so, like, to have not just one person, but to have four voices supporting you. To give you an example, we just did my Kickstarter for Chapter 3. We did the live launch party. Well, I had a $2,000 goal for the campaign. We funded that $2,000 in less than 30 minutes. Okay. Dang. And that is the power of an amazing group of people supporting you, whether it's people on Instagram, the guys from Homebrew, whatever it is. We've like I said, I'm really grateful, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's the best way to put it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, so yeah, this is this is what we do, and we'll be in stores. We've joined up with Filbo Distribution, with everything going on with Dynamite right now. Everything's crazy. And so we've joined up with Filbo Distribution, and we will be in stores come October. So if you have a local comic book store and you want to read homebrewed comics, go to your local comic book store, say, hey, listen, we want Bigfoot Knows Karate, we want Crit, we want Caspian Porter, we want Celestial Knight. You can get it through Filbo Distribution. There's a link on our website to contact Filbo, or for your store LCSs to contact Filbo. So please, do that, because we are trying to grow, and we are trying to get these books out into as many people's hands as possible. I do want to say one more thing too. Because we do have the simultaneous campaigns going. Do y'all remember when Image Comics first started, they did a book called Image Zero. And it was, you had to collect coupons out of the back of 7 books. And if you got the 7 different coupons, you can mail them into Image with a $10 check. And they would send you this book called Image Zero that had original stories by all the original Image creators. So it was a really cool concept. I actually have one right here in the stack of stuff next to my computer. Don't fall. Okay, cool. Anyway, so this is it. This is an Image Zero right here. Okay, wow. And so you collected all the coupons. You got the book. Cool. So we are taking a page from that concept, and we created coupons to go with each of the campaigns. This is the one for Crit. This is the one for Bigfoot Knows Karate. And then this is the one for Caspian Porter. and versus Celestial Knight. You back the each of the campaigns, and each book, every physical backer gets a coupon gets one of the coupons for the comic. Each coupon has a 3-digit code on it. If you gather all 3 coupons, you get the 9-digit code. You go to our website and you can go purchase yourself a copy of Homebrewed Zero. Homebrewed Zero is going to be a 30-something page comic that has 5 original stories in there that are all done by the different creators, by Drew, Dennis, Chris, myself, and our friend Mo. And we're doing... we've got 5 original stories. I will be doing an original story with Casey Allen, Bigfoot Knows Karate story in there. So, and this, you can only find that there. And what's going to be really cool about it is it's going to be a holofoil cover done by Luis Thomas. And Luis is a cover artist for me, cover artist for Chris. He also colors for Chris. So he's a friend of the Homebrewed Squad. And so we're really excited to have him doing that cover. So pretty cool. Yeah. So back all 3 campaigns, man. There you go.
Cool incentive. Frae.
Thanks. Yeah.
Oh, I'm listening.
No, I think we can totally do stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. No, can I show you? If y'all get on my Kickstarter, I'll show you some killer covers if you want to check that out. Because there's some, I'll show you that Luis cover. He did a holofoil for me for this issue. And
there it is.
Yeah. There it is.
Well, too fast. Wow, you've exceeded your goal quite a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, and hoping to keep that going. So, the more we can do, the more I can do with it in terms of we have another book coming out after this one. So the more I can fund on this campaign, I can help out with getting paid for the artist it's like Hinnagon, how we did the single story one shot. We're going to be doing another one of those. So yeah, pretty cool.
Shall we watch the preview?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll expand. Wow.
Nice.
That feels like a movie trailer.
That was really good. Also, your logo is wonderful. The Homebrewed Comics.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I'm just so impressed right now and inspired.
The logo was a lot of fun to do because I draw with my fingertip on my computer screen. So I literally just kind of like that. So writing out the word karate was a lot of fun. I had multiple.
So that was done with your finger.
That was done with my fingertip. Yeah,
that's fun.
So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so I had a lot of fun with that logo. Nice. Yeah, so this is kind of a what's up with Bigfoot. This is my cover for the top one that you right there was my cover for the chapter 3. The bunny's a very important character to the book. He shows up a lot through the story, so
yeah,
I wanted to feature him on the cover. This was our cover for our deluxe edition by Adam Caswell. This is a Virgin variant cover that I actually colored for him. I had a lot of fun doing that. And then the next cover after that one, and I'll explain the deluxe editions real quick.
Oh, I like that cover.
That one's awesome. That one's by Ghost House. He's a local Austin artist. He's incredible. And that's another deluxe edition cover. And then this last one is the holofoil by Luis. So, who's doing the Homebrewed Zero cover. So, pretty cool. The difference between our regular editions and our deluxe editions, regular editions are just the story, and then deluxe editions are are the story plus. It's kind of like special editions of special features on DVDs. We include the fan art gallery in all of our deluxe editions, just like we do. Like I was talking to you about before. We always include a fan art gallery in the back of those. And then also, do you remember director's commentaries on DVDs where you can click on that? And, yep. Yeah. So we have our own director's commentary. You click on a YouTube on a QR code, and it takes you to a YouTube video that goes into depth about all the different stuff that's going on in the book. So it's pretty cool. This is all just kind of a previously on Bigfoot Knows Karate. So you can kind of get an idea because you can see all the different chapters and stuff. This is from Hennigan right here. So, which was a lot of fun. Adam Caswell, our cover artist for the deluxe editions, did the artwork on Hennigan and came out really pretty.
Yeah, it's quite a change from the original.
Oh, it is. Well, it's quite a different story. I wanted it to be very different. I mean, like we're I'm a digital artist. Using full color. Adam is a traditional artist using nothing but black and white, and so I wanted the stories. The stories were so different from each other that it needed to look. That chapter needed to look so different from what we're doing in the main arc. You know what I'm saying? So it is. So I, now with this new one that we have coming out in the fall, this new side story called God Killer. That one, the artist is phenomenal. His name's Justin Adcock. I'm excited to show off what he's doing. And it has a whole different look to it as well. And that'll also be a black and white book. So I'm excited for that one to come out.
That's awesome. Frae, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to say, so are all the side stories, are they going to be black and white as you release them?
That's a really great question. I'm not entirely sure. I think at this point, yes, but I think if the right story comes along where color makes sense, sure. I never say never.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. We'll go with that. We'll say never say never.
Yeah. Because I was thinking, I was like, that'd be pretty, like a really cool, like way to separate it from like the main series. You have like these side stories that are also, not only the art style is different, but they're in black and white too.
Sure. I think it would be cool to do it that way, just so you can like collect all the black and white stories into one book. You know what I mean? And do crayons. Yeah, and then give them crayon. Oh, now see, we're here. So why are we so here? Right here. It's beautiful, beautiful. You get me. You get me. So anyway.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So these are the rewards for campaign 3.
Yes. Or 4. Yeah. So yeah, these are the for the chapter 3 campaign. So if you just scroll down, you can see, and it's pretty straightforward stuff. It's just really just comics. I don't have a whole lot of extras going on the book. You got your digital edition for $4, and then you can do a digital catch up for $15. So 4 books, $15, not a bad deal. And let's see, and then the regular edition, and then deluxe editions. I mean, yeah. Pretty straightforward. We've got some multi-packs in there. There's the homebrewed pack where you can pick up the number ones from all of the this campaign, this one right here will go live when Chris's campaign finishes up. The homebrewed zero catch up. So when his campaign ends, you can back that one and back both of the books at the same time and get your coupons for both. So
okay, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the Ghost House.
Your art style. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. What inspired my art style? So let's see. I mean, I was a traditional artist for a long time. Pencils, inks, colors, art, pencils, inks, and on paper, digital colors, that kind of thing. And but I've been a graphic designer for my whole career, right? And one day it just kind of connected with me. Like, I wasn't a great inker. I'm a terrible inker, to be perfectly honest with you. I suck at it. And so I was never comfortable with my art as a rule because of that. But the computer, using Adobe Illustrator, I'm so super unbelievably comfortable in there making, starting as logo, making logos and working to heavy illustration and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So why not take what I do in my day job and apply it for, you can get the belt if you, for $450, you can back that and get a wrestling belt. Hold on. Nice. Oh yeah. No. Like seriously, I'll get back to the question in just a second, but you got to have a belt. Okay. Like
it's upside down.
It's upside down. You got to have a wrestling belt. If you have a comic about a Bigfoot that does karate, you need to have a wrestling belt. So go get really one. It's for cool. Say what?
That's just really cool.
It's fun to take to I take it with me to conventions. I put it on my table. People like to get their photo with it. It's just one of those things that's just an easy gimmick to have on the table, and people enjoy it. So back to the question on the art style. So just taking everything that I've done as a graphic designer and applying that to comics changed the way I drew. It really did, and I draw I have a very tight style that I can do. And then I have this loose, brushy, grungy, not animated like cartoony, but animated like there's movement in the line. And that art style I developed, I started playing with it with some interiors on a book called Halloween Man that I had done. Halloween Man by Drew Edwards. It's a great book. I'd done some interiors for him, and I started playing with this this look. He asked me, well, what kind of story do you want to do? And I said, I want to do something horrific. Because, again, I'd been doing all these these comedies. So I want to give me something horrific. Give me something that's kind of scary to do. And started playing with the look that you can see now in the Bigfoot comics. And again, brushy, grungy. I wanted it to have that kind of that Eastern vibe, that was important to me without being mocking or anything like that, but it lend itself to that, and it just have that constant feel of motion. And now as I've been drawing it more and more, it's now I'm starting to apply a lot more shadows, heavy blacks, things like that into the artwork. And I think that's more, I just read a lot of Sin City. I don't know. I'm a big Frank Miller fan. And so I think that comes out in the work. But, the environment, the colors in the story are very rooted not only in the environment, but the tone of the story, what's going on in the book right then and there, the emotion that needs to be captured. And so, like in the first book, you start off in these like light pastels, and then you work your way to these just heavy blood red, colors. And then in the second issue, you start, it's far more industrial in its look and vibe. And so, the color is just, it lends itself to, to showing emotion. So I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, the color to me in the artwork is, like, I love that the side stories are black and white because it sets them apart, as their own thing. With color for me, like I can draw in black and white, sure, but that's for me, the color to my artwork is like, it kind of it's like the Big Lebowski, that rug really tied the room together. The color really ties the room together here, in on my pages. So yeah.
Did you have any question?
No.
Oh, I just want to make sure. That was a good question, though, Frae. I enjoyed hearing that in-depth detail. Yeah, we're coming up on an hour, so I wanted to just kind of like summarize a little bit more. I wanted to first say you've inspired me with your gimmick routine, with what you said about the cons. Absolutely genius, and I love the innovation. I love that you had the guts to actually like do the condom thing. Like it's pushing it. It's pushing the boundaries, but it works. Man. Like there's just something about pushing the boundaries that, I don't know, make people just gravitate towards it. Like, I was at a con all weekend. I dressed up as my character, Number 2 Pencil, to sell my comics. And that's like the biggest thing that gets people to my table. They'll see a giant pencil mascot costume, and he's like talking like he's a superhero. And people are like, we really like this guy, and it's like I
Right.
make a majority of my like sales based on that, but I also get so much more interaction because I'm doing something that not anybody else in the whole artist alley comic book thing is they're doing. So it's unique
Sure.
and it stands out, and it's like not a competition at all, but it's just like something I've noticed is like people gravitate towards the people that are doing the unique different gimmicks. So to hear somebody who's been in the game for a long time, because those were, you said, back in 2007, pushing the
Yeah.
envelope back then, kind of being a pioneer in gimmick marketing, if I can say so, like that is so inspiring to me as a new indie creator that just jumped onto the scene. And so I've learned a lot from that, and I'm going to find new ways. And I just want to tell you something that somebody gave me the idea to do just this
Yeah.
weekend. They said, "Well, you know how pencils are good for standardized testings and stuff." They're like, "What
Yeah.
if you got some Scantron paper and signed number 2 Pencil Man's autograph on it?" And I'm like, "That's a genius idea. I
That
found
is a
some.
good one.
I found Scantron sheets of paper that I can
Oh,
buy,
wow.
and I'm gonna start doing that." And I'm just like, "How
Do,
comes I didn't think of this before?"
do you give away pencils with your website on
I'm
them?
working on that. I still need to get
Okay.
the custom pencils.
Yeah.
Yeah, soon. I'm gonna put little
Okay.
capes on the pencils. They're gonna have like
Oh,
little
do
pencil
it.
capes.
Do it. Yeah,
Start the
man.
new school trend, like that short-lived fad that all the kids are gonna have, like the pencil capes.
Absolutely. You need to see. When I was a kid, we used to play pencil break, where you would
Mm.
actually like try and break the pencil with the other kid, and you would hurt each other in the pro. It was fun. Anyway, don't do that. Actually, that's terrible. You get kids are big. Parents will be pissed off, so don't do that. But no, man. No, I wish you the best of luck with y'all's book. I mean, seriously, that's cool. So y'all combo on this project, you said?
Yeah, Frae's my artist.
Yes,
That's
But
awesome.
he
Well,
also has his own
congratulations.
amazing stuff as well. So I mean,
I do.
he's
I
just
do
Tell,
helping
more
me
send me
out.
links, please. You
black
got to
and white
send me.
like manga stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, you got to send me links. I got to see this stuff. So
yeah,
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
But I won't take more of y'all's time. So thank y'all so much.
No,
I know I've been
no, it's
rambling
about you,
on.
man.
So
yeah,
yeah,
this is great. Like you've given us so much to think about, and like hearing about your passion, like you are clearly passionate about what you do, which first off, thank you for sharing your passion, because
oh
that
sure,
is one of
man.
the most powerful things that you can share with somebody is just your love of your genuine craft. And just, yeah, when that goes out, it's so contagious, and it's what inspires the next group of independent creators, like just sharing that. And so all the wisdom that you shared, all the passion, getting to see and highlight your comic book, like you basically gave us a general synopsis that covers the entire series, and also your other book series that you started with. It's like that's cool. Like you hit it all. We didn't, like, you just ran with it, and we had a couple questions, but you did great. Like seriously. But I do want to ask my fellow co-hosts if there's any other questions that they have before we go into the wrap-up stuff. So
Um, I have one that I wanted to touch on from the conventions. Have you
Sure.
noticed a difference between how conventions are now compared to after post pandemic?
So you're asking me how much they've changed just like right after the pandemic to where they are right now in the
No,
last few
no,
years.
like
you said
from,
post.
yeah, I
Oh,
said both.
Pre.
pre-pandemic to now. Okay, gotcha.
Pre-pandemic to now. No, I said whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Well,
that's my best friend.
okay,
before pandemic versus after pandemic. Have you noticed
sure.
any difference?
Okay, so I wasn't. So back when I was doing conventions was like long before the pandemic
Oh,
because
okay.
I got out when I was about 20 in 2014. So
Okay.
there was about 6 years there where I didn't even go to a convention,
Oh,
and
gotcha, gotcha.
so but like when I got back into it in 21, I guess is when I started going to conventions again. 21, 22.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, that was different. That was different for sure. I mean, a lot of hand sanitizer and masks, and I mean, hey, do it. Stay safe. Um, and but yeah, I really don't have a frame of reference for right before the pandemic. I wish I could really answer that question for you better.
That's fair.
I
No,
mean, you've
Okay.
given us a
Cool.
glimpse into a different time almost, because
right.
that was like
Yeah.
for like back in the time that you started, it was right around, I'd say, a big push for indie comics. Like I started to notice that
Yeah.
they started to emerge more onto the scene in that time period. So that's kind of cool to see, kind of like a window of how it started to like now.
Well, I mean, you got the 80s black and white explosion, the image boom, in the early 90s. It's nice to see so many indie books out there right now because, with Diamond falling apart at the moment, I mean, I hope that there's a lot of gaps, and I hope those indie comics are able to fill those gaps. DC and Marvel they're making movies. They're making movies. That's what they're doing now. The comics are like a byproduct or an afterthought almost at this point. And so let's go make some comics. Let's make some new ideas. Let's show the world what we can do. Because yes, I mean seriously, there is. Why should it just be the same characters we've seen year in and year out in a million stories? Doing they die, they get their backs broken, they come back to life. You know nothing about them. Their origin comes out. Now they have 11 kids. I mean, it's like, let's go fresh. Let's go unique. Let's do something that nobody's thought of. I mean, I don't know anybody that's got a comic about a number 2 pencil guy. You're the guy. You're the one. I mean, seriously, y'all have that. That's yours. I mean, that's what's impressive to me. When you can come up with something new and unique and original, and that'll get people's attention. Latex Avenger wasn't exactly a family-friendly affair, but I'll tell you what, it definitely grabbed people's attention. And so and the little Bigfoot book that could over here. I mean, yeah, people are having fun with it. So we'll keep going. We'll keep going, and then when this one has lived out its time, I'll go come up with something else that's strange. So anyway, that's my boss. So I need to go grab that here in a second.
Oh boy.
But yeah, no worries. But this is awesome. Yeah, thank y'all so much.
Yeah.
And seriously.
Where can they find you, Dan?
Yeah, Danomite139 on Instagram. That is a great place to find me. DANOMYTE 139. BigfootKnowsKarate.com. It's got links to like everything. So you can go check out the Kickstarters. You can go to my merch store. You can go do all that stuff. Homebrewedcomics.com, though. Check that out. You can find links for Crit, Caspian Porter, Celestial Knight, CK versus CP, and the little Bigfoot book that I mentioned earlier. So, yes, please check me out on Instagram, Blue Sky, and, all of that good stuff. So, for sure.
That's incredible, Dan. Thank you so much for being here. I just have one last thing I wanted to ask. Number 2 Pencil Man Bigfoot Karate collab one day with your Bigfoot mascot dude?
Oh, my Bigfoot mascot dude?
Yeah, the guy who dresses up as Bigfoot with the karate.
Oh yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah, that was crazy that day. That we got to figure that out. Yeah, that was crazy the day that I looked up and there was this guy dressed as my character. I'm like, oh my god, it's actually happened. There's a cosplayer. So anyway, yeah, we got to figure that out.
Yeah, we need to do a collab, man. Bigfoot trains Pencil Man in the art of fighting. That would be like a fantastic little mini story. Whether we make it a live action thing or just a short thing, I would love to collab with you guys on that. So
that's awesome.
I just wanted to put that out there in the universe. So if
there's
ever a chance, let me know.
All right, let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Anyway, I'll end the show here. I will ask Frae quick. Frae, where can everybody find you?
Currently, Frae official _art. That is where my artwork is. Facebook, Frae official 1. I started doing Twitch again. Yay me. So nice. That's also Frae official 1. And I also do my own little podcast where I talk about stuff like marketing and trying to mental health and stuff like that. So I have my own guest on there to talk about certain topics. That's Frae Art on YouTube.
Very cool.
Yes.
Katie, where can they find you?
My humble beginnings, Lemon with Wings on Instagram. I think that's it at the moment.
But there's going to be more coming from
There's
her.
more coming.
Much, much more. We're excited for that. And you can find me at Tanner's Tales Entertainment or Number 2 Pencil Man. I have both active. Number 2 Pencil Man's my mascot kind of thing, but I also do comic promotion. They run hand in hand, really. Tanner's Tales is more for the business. And yeah, we're working on lots of cool projects. I just did my first motivational speech over the weekend at at Thy Geekdom Con. So that went really well, and I'm going to have footage of that on my YouTube channel probably in the next day or two. So definitely check out my YouTube channel. It's where it all started. And you can find my comics on my website, www.tannersTalesEntertainment.com. And we are the Dreamscape Empyrean, all of us. Rachel's not here tonight. Like I said, we split the episodes currently because of conflicting work things. So on our one episode, you're going to have me, Frae, Katie. And on the other episode, you're going to have me, Rachel, and Katie. So it's going to be 3 and 3, hopefully. And sometimes it might not even be all three of us until we can bring everybody back together to do our core 4, how it started, and how we'll move forward eventually. But for now, 2 episodes a week. You can find us on YouTube. Our audio platforms are not as caught up, but we're working on building that up. If you are an indie creator of any kind, and I do mean any kind, comic creator, author, poet, business, clown, psychologist, performing artist, whatever it may be, if you mow lawns artistically and create that stuff, it still counts. It's all indie art. We are here to show the world the wide range of indie, no matter what it is, because indie is the future. And that is what we are here to promote. You can come on this show. And if you want to be on the show, you just got to reach out to us. DM us at Dreamscape Empyrean on Instagram. We have Facebook. You can email it to us at dreamscapeempyrean@gmail.com. If you guys are out there and want to be on the show, hit us up. We're scheduled out a little bit, but we will try to get you on as soon as we can. So that is how you can join the podcast. If you like the show, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Every brick builds a bigger platform for the indies out there. So help us build this up. Help us become the #1 indie podcast out there, so we can introduce the world to new things. And I think that's a good place to end it. So thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Thank you again, Dan, for joining us. And
Thanks for
until
having
next
me.
time. Yes, it was a great interview, and we loved it, and we can't wait to see more. So until next time, dreamers. This has been Indie Synergy Exchange, and we will see you at the next episode. Bye.
Bye.